Hello, welcome to Deltascope on television. Deltascope is a weekly magazine program that plays host to economic, social, and political stakeholders in Delta State. My name is Onome Iyarowe, your host. This week on the show, we have a very wonderful personality. He is a banker, an administrator, a labor leader, and a politician. He is one that can be described as a major stakeholder in the Delta State Development Project. He is Senior High Chief Bashorun Askia Ogieh. High Chief Bashorun Askia Ogieh is a banker, a labor leader, a broadcaster of repute, a politician, and of course an administrator. Having served his people in different capacities, this great man, Senior High Chief Bashorun Askia Ogieh, shared with us what he's been doing, starting from the grassroots to the government house and now to the SOPA deck. When our crew met with him, he shared so much with us that you will want to see for yourself. Let's now join our crew.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
I would expect to hear titles like Olorogun, Ogba, Odion, but Bashorun, where's that coming from, sir?
Bashorun is a very revered traditional title in Yoruba land. I have that title from Ekiti Kingdom in Ekiti State, from a kingdom that I've been very close to. And people appreciated me up to the point that they felt I should have the title, and I've been cooperating with them since ages, and so that's where the title came from.
So, sir, your early days were spent outside the shores of your home. When I mean home, your clan. I mean, you went from Benin City to Iwo, Oyo, New Buza, Lagos, until you came back home to do your secondary school. What was responsible for that migration?
First let me put it on record that I was actually born outside too. I was born in Lagos State, and my parents came home early when I was still a toddler, and during the war somehow the need to catch up with the trend of getting good education made my uncle to take me out to Benin. He was a military officer, and that was at the height of the war. You know the way it is with the military men. They get posted from point to point, and so I was moving on with him. And that is how the movement took me to Benin in the height of the war. At the end of the Civil War, we moved on to Iwo, stayed briefly, then to Oyo, to New Busa, and back to Oyo, where I finished my primary education. And I was to continue my secondary education there until my aged grandmother then, I being the first grandchild, she insisted that I have to come back home so that I can catch up with the tradition of our people, because I was the first grandchild of that family tree. And so that was what brought me back to Uzere.
You are somebody I call a serial chairman. You've been a chairman of a local government. You've been chairman of Algon. You've been chairman of, you're chairman of the ex-local government chairman. Now that brings me to a question that while you were chairman in Isoko South, which at that point you were unchallenged, both in the primaries and the election, you were unopposed. That says volume. Well, when you look back, what would you think were your milestones?
Yeah, before I get into that, my chairmanship actually in public life started with the Delta State Institute of Continuous Education.
Yeah, that's why I say you're a
Yes,
chairman.
yes, that governing council. But now that you narrow it down to my chairmanship of the local government, before I came in as chairman, because it was something I planned for, to develop the place, leave some landmarks that people will look back to and say, yes, in the days of Bashorun, this is what I was able to do. And I have them, they are in legion, that I was able to do. We have one of the best legislative arm building in Delta State, to the glory of God, that was constructed by me. Today, in the state of Delta, we have the best lodge for the chairman's quarter, which I christened then as Okowa Unity House. That if we have cause to meet, up to date, we all fall back there. In the committee form, that's where we take our decisions. You know, actually, government have no business in business. We are actually to create an enabling environment. At best, maybe a conducive environment for the people, for business people to thrive. But I now realize that we are in a bit of a corner. Nobody was remembering to come back home. So I felt I should go into some level of re-engineering of our place. Something to attract the investors to come around. Something that can lead to a multiplier effect on every other aspect, particularly agriculture, since that was their main stay. And I looked at it that every community in Isoko land majored in cassava and fish farming, but majorly cassava. So I saw that there was nobody that was ready to come and put processing plants and all of that. I dreamt of a program of having cassava farming from the farming level to the processing. We established a farm of about 5 kilometer radius in the Ureri axis, where the people who employ are the locals. And then we now established the cassava processing factory. I believe that when you were coming to town, you saw it out there. And that factory is a state of the art. It's a factory where you bring in the cassava with all the dates and all of that and feed it in. By a press of the button, the process starts. It removes the peels, everything without anything manual. And at the end of it all, there are 2 lines. One of the lines will give you industrial starch. I want to beat my chest. That is the finest industrial starch you find in this country. I know you have about 2-3 other cassava processing factories in the Ondo houses and somewhere in the east, but the finest by the laboratory results that we have up to date. And then, because that was the state of the art that we have, we brought in the technology from Brazil.
Brazil?
Yes, from Brazil. And the other line is the line that produces our normal staple food, gari. But that line, which has the heaviest of equipment, is such that the gari that it produces is more like semovita, very fine, not the thick type that we have, very fine and easy for anybody to consume. Now, while we were establishing that factory, I had it in mind that after establishing it, we are going to open up for private investors to come in. If they were afraid of putting their money forward, now we have been able to put our funds forward. We have established it. They believe that government cannot establish on those. After establishing it, we are going to allow the private sector to come and buy in about 70 to 80% of the factory, and the funds derivable will take into another area. We did all of this preparatory to the establishment of the factory. Whether these processes are still on, it's a different ball game.
Hey, yeah, it's fucking Frankie. It's a banger. Hey, okay now, DJ Eddie Bless. Let's go to DJ Eddie Bless. Emon anagbe beweze. Emon anagbe beweze. Ewara bile lori ribo bewo bi guju wo mara beweze. Wamo ni ra bige liku ne wose. Wamo se ra wire ji no be wose. Ole ligbonu supe boro gele. Woda zo se ra han, woda zo ni ra han. Hey, omo na na wo waro garan. Kudu mere bo mo na waro garan. Hey, atolu vi abie wo denu. Hey, ajete mu no wo besi wo. Hey, emon na bi ye me he. Uzubia wo men na ri obe he. Arozavo abiso be. Monaro makboto whatever. Emoke na waro garan. Emoke na waro garan. Emoke na waro garan. DJ Eddie Bless pole na takeranie. Emoke na waro garan. Emoke na waro garan. Emoke na waro garan. DJ Eddie Bless pole na takeranie. Me wolote me roke mete. Ono ta no yo ha onjete. If is that le men na no mere ru na mere ye roko roke mete. Ogoli merike kova. Jabli bleblu ku kova. Go eru fi oto jugo ye me he goro neza na siri owo. Completi gbenu ju wori ebete he wo fie mero hinwe wori ebete he wo le lona nya pene bi na tere pante rate bezi e mo na bi ye me he onu Jesu wo commande de ko ke opuizu na bobi vo avec eni vo ma blue no ma je to fle.
Okay, talking about positions now. Now let's come to today's politics and today's ruling party. You've been a member of the ruling party. In fact, you've been very strong in the propagation and profiling of the person of the present governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. The elections have come and gone, but you were the secretary to the campaign organization. You're also the director in charge of security and all that. What makes you a strong believer in Okowa? What is it in Okowa that you saw that you stood?
Yeah, let me put it this way. Maybe I need to say it for the first time, that the man, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, is my personal friend. Okay. Our friendship dates back to the formation of the party, the PDP. We were there together in the trenches. When, in quote, we were young men.
You're still young men?
Yes. And at that time, I've recognized the leadership quality in him. He's somebody that I admire a lot. Because I learn a lot. Every day is a learning process. And I saw in him, we have a couple of things in common. And I saw in him somebody who has passion to serve the people and somebody who thinks straight. Above all, is a credible individual. Now, while we were in the Bure administration, he was a commissioner and I was a special advisor to Governor Bure on government house matters. So when in the same cabinet, some of us felt there was a need for the rotation of the number one seat. So we formed what we call Ekiti 2007 then. We formed Equity Group, and myself and the likes of Senator Ombushi, quite a number of persons came together to push for that equity. And very fortunately, we were able to engineer a strong group, became a movement, and people bought into our position. And so the contest was stiff. I will recall that Governor Okowa led a team of other close associates to meet me then to support him. Ordinarily, in terms of the right man for the job, if we go strictly by that, I would throw my heart in the ring of Okowa anytime, any day, without blinking my eyes. Because over time, I've had a close relationship with him, I've studied him, and I know that he's upright and he has the zeal to really serve the people. Above all, he's competent in terms, because as he was growing from being commissioner to SSG and all of that, I've been a close watcher. So, but then at that time I told him, well, sorry, my friend, that yes, I'm into equity, that this thing should move, but I believe that Delta South should have a bite first. That in the state, we seems to be the people that have not taken a shot. Yes. The rebels are just living now. They've not had small shot when we were still in Bend in old Midwest, but we didn't have a shot at it. So I think I'm trying my heart with my people. Charity begins at home. That was what I told him. But I left him with a promise that if we succeed as Delta South people to bring in the governor, at the expiration of the tenure of that governor, I was going to be available to support him, should he still be available in the race. Because at the time I was talking, I don't know whether 8 years is a long time, yes, whether we still want to run. So I told him, if you are still interested in running, you can count on me, that I'll be there for you. So about 2 years into his second tenure, almost 2 years, quite earlier, about a year plus, I went to Senator Okowa. Then he was Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I went to him as a friend in a cool evening. I said, I'm here in case you have forgotten to remind you of my promise. I'm just a phone call away. On a quiet evening, he just gave me a call. I said, Askia, can we meet tomorrow evening at home in Asaba? So I waited for him. We took a ride in his car to the meeting point. When we got there, others have come. Here we are. Okay? So Okowa has the floor. And he said, all of us seated here are close to him. And we have one thing in common. We've all been asking him his next move, particularly whether he's going to be interested in the number one job in the state. He's been giving us apparently the same response. So now he's here. We own him, he owns us. Let us discuss. Should he be ready? How do we go about it? do we think we can get it? If not, what do we do? So, but 10 of us took that decision that we are supporting you. And we formed ourselves into a committee.
What's the name of that committee? The ex-committee. Okay. All right. So let's say ex-committee.
Yes. So we started the process. And there were other 3 persons that were apparently from another flank putting together what should be our vision, what we intend to do, a blueprint, kind of. That one was aside. So we're working, we're handling the operational aspect, some were handling those academic aspect of it, others were going into contacts and all of that, and we move on full blast. And the mantle of setting up that small structure to handle the operations fell on myself and the present day, the current Secretary to Government of Delta State, Right Honorable Festus Agas, who now came in as the DG of the campaign, and I, because you know you have to spread this thing across the central district, and I came in as the Secretary of the campaign.
So if you have to describe Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa in one word.
A true data.
Okay.
That is Okowa. A true data. There are very few. He knows everywhere. He knows virtually everybody by first name. He has an excellent relationship, human relationship with people. His personality made things easy for us.
Sir, finally.
But that was in the beginning.
Okay, now.
So that was when I was secretary
of
Senator Okowa's campaign.
Okay, finally, sir. The campaign thrust for Okowa this time was for a greater Delta. First term was prosperity for all Delta, but now it's a greater Delta. In your own wisdom, how do we build a greater Delta?
Now, both of them is anchored on the SMART agenda.
Yes.
I think the benefit of hindsight and being modest, Okowa first term has been a huge success. The policy thrust of prosperity for all Delta has to a large extent been achieved. That when the country itself was in recession, as the country was wading through recession, we were bouncing back powerfully. And today, I think, he has delivered on all fronts on the promises that he gave to Deltans. Now, we talk of greater Delta now, because we have to take it to a higher level of not just prosperity of just having what will keep you on. We now have to think of what will leave the level of just subsistence to a level of abundance. And that is where we are. To take it to that level, you will now need to boost the economy of Delta State in a greater form. You have to start thinking of industrialization. You have to start thinking of what level you take the health system to. The healthcare delivery you leave. We are done with the primary healthcare and all of that.
Yes.
You will now be thinking of going into specialization in healthcare delivery. You have to be thinking of the educational sector, at least the higher level of all of this sector. We've done so well that the state now, the environment is quite friendly. The foundation has been laid for even foreign investors, other investors within the Nigerian economy to come in, so that we are going to have a boom, all things being equal. And we hope that all things should come equal.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. So we'll be speaking to very senior High Chief, Bashorun Askia Ogieh, the Ete of Oromo Kingdom, the Udu of Uzere Kingdom, and the Bashorun of Ekiti. Thank you very much for having us, sir. And we wish you the best, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, we can say big kudos to Senior High Chief Bashorun Askia Ogieh, one who is passionate about taking Delta State to greater heights, one who is committed in joining His Excellency Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Arthur Okowa in building a greater and stronger Delta State. Remember, for your comments, observations, and contributions, you can join us on our various social media platforms as displayed on your screen. That will be the wrap on this week's edition of Deltascope on television. Remember, together we can build a greater and stronger Delta State. Next week is another time. We'll be back here with you. My name is Onome Iyarowe. Bye-bye.